The contractor's van stopped at my curb, ready to tear down my den wall, ordered by my own daughter-in-law. I didn't shout. I took photos, called the city, and turned their fraud into a criminal case before lunch. But that was only the beginning. It was one of those Fridays that felt like a sigh at the end of a long week. Quiet, steady, predictable. I had my little routine. Kettle humming on the stove, pill organizer open by the sink, porch light timer set just before dusk. The house smelled faintly of lemon oil and the last of the summer grass outseed. I liked that smell. It meant order, control. My late husband used to say, "Keep your name on your keys and your head in the books." I still did both. The phone buzzed 3 times on the counter, Isolde's name glowing on the screen. But I let it be. I wanted one peaceful evening without her updates or urgencies. I adjusted my bob in the mirror, smoothing flyaways, a small act of calm before my tea. Then came the knock, sharp, eager, not the kind of knock neighbors use. When I opened the door, there she was, Isolde, standing with that bright, brittle smile she puts on for news she's already decided. Her husband, Corbin, stood behind her, clutching 2 rolling suitcases like trophies. "Mom," she began, all airy confidence. "We've decided to move back in, for a while, just until things settle." She stepped inside before I could answer, her perfume hitting me before her words finished. Corbin chimed in, voice smooth as a PowerPoint slide. "We'll be low impact, promise." I didn't invite them in, but there they were, standing on my rug. The sting came not from surprise, but from how ordinary she made it sound. My house, her announcement. I studied my tone. "Baby, you don't make decisions for my address." Her smile twitched, that flash of old defiance beneath the polish. "It's just temporary. Mom, you always said family sticks together," I replied, level as a metronome. "Family asks first." Tea. Through the open door, I caught the low rumble of a U-Haul idling by the curb. Boxes already half unloaded, bold black letters scrawled across them. "Kitchen fragile." "Home office." 2 young men stood there, one waving toward me. "Ma'am, where you want this?" I blinked. They weren't my movers. "We prepaid them for the hour," Isolde said, pretending efficiency while sidestepping respect. Corbin nodded like a manager checking boxes off a list. "Faster this way." I stepped onto the porch. "Park that truck by the hydrant and you'll get a ticket. That'll be your dime, not mine." My calmness worked like cold water on a spark. They both froze a little. "Keys to the side gate?" she tossed over her shoulder. "No one's touching that gate," I said quietly. In my head, my husband's voice echoed, "If it wasn't your signature, it isn't your plan." Back inside. Corbin wheeled a suitcase toward the hallway. I placed my hand on the handle, blocking his path. "Hold up. We talk first, then we move anything." He hesitated, then smiled thinly. Isolde rolled her eyes. "You always make things harder than they need to be." "No," I said. "I make them clear before they get messy." Her sunglasses, now perched on her head like a crown, caught the lamp's light. The whole pose screamed in charge. "How long is for a while?" I asked. "What's your plan for work? For bills?" Corbin gave that diplomatic shrug I've seen at a dozen board meetings. "We'll figure it out." That meant they hadn't. So I did what I always do when control starts to slip. I found something small to manage. I turned off the kettle before it screamed. In that tiny, soundless moment, I sent a text to my neighbor, Noretta. "Papa, if you're free." She knows what that means. Witness, not rescue. I looked at the photo of my husband near the key bowl. "You'd be shaking your head, Earl," I whispered, "but I've got this." I inhaled through my nose, exhaled slow, steady, just like the church taught us. I turned back to them. "We'll sit and talk like adults. You two can start by listening." Corbin leaned toward the den. "That'll be our office," he said, pointing. Then the sound came, the metallic slam of the U-Haul door outside. One of the movers carried a box through the doorway, bold marker letters facing me. Primary 1443 W 75th, my address, my house. I didn't yell, didn't flinch. I just looked at my daughter and said evenly, not without my say-so. Then her hand reached for the key ring beside the photo frame. Her hand brushed against mine, fingers cool and deliberate, aiming for the ring of keys that had lived in that bowl for years. I didn't flinch, just tightened my grip until the metal pressed into my palm. "Sugar," I said quietly. "We don't take what we didn't ask for." My tone wasn't sharp, just steady, the way a parent says something that's already a rule. Ilda froze for a second before glancing toward her husband for backup. Corbin stepped forward, smoothing his tie as if this were a meeting. "Let's just create access redundancies," he said, smiling. I looked at him over my glasses. "That's called trespass if I say no." I shifted my stance, my back against the small console table. "We'll sit, we'll talk, then we'll decide." From the porch came the muffled thud of a mover's boots. Pressure built, but I held the silence until it obeyed me. At the dining table, I placed an empty mug in front of me, slipping the keys beneath it. "How long? How much? And under whose rules?" I asked. The room's air thickened. Isolde's tone softened. "Families shouldn't keep score. Families shouldn't run tabs they don't pay," I answered. Corbin's voice floated in again, practiced calm. "The den could be a shared office. We'll work quietly." I gave a small smile. "That door stays shut until I say otherwise." I leaned forward. "My mortgage, my taxes, my liability, my rules." He looked away first. Then my phone buzzed. Screen down on the table. "Noretta Pike, on my way. 10 minutes. I didn't say a word, just straightened my shoulders and felt the rhythm of control return. Isolde reached again, voice sweet but brittle. "We need copies. Mom, emergencies happen." Her fingers grazed the mug. I pivoted it away, slid the keys into my cardigan pocket. "Emergencies are for 911, not for bypassing me," Corbin chuckled awkwardly. "Just one copy, so we're not waking you at odd hours." "Odd hours," I said, "are when people steal peace." She blinked at that, unsure if I meant it literally. "I wasn't born last rainstorm," I added. Meeting her stare until she looked down, I lifted the key bowl, walked to the china cabinet, and placed it inside. The wooden door shut with a soft, final click. No raised voices, no drama, just ownership reasserted in oak and glass. A mover leaned into the doorway. "Ma'am, we're at 45 minutes. Where you want these boxes? Back in the truck till we're done talking." He hesitated. Isolde snapped. "You're wasting their time." "You can cancel," I said evenly. "My house isn't a storage unit." Corbin slipped cash into the mover's hand. "We'll handle it." I caught the label on the paperwork. Varon, primary. I said nothing, but I saw everything. No boxes crossed this threshold without an agreement in writing. The man nodded and backed out, grateful to leave the tension behind him. When Isolde bent to grab her charger, a folder slipped from her tote, sliding across the hardwood floor. The label caught my eye before she could snatch it. My street name, comparables, subject property. I leaned down slowly, reading like I was calling a hymn. "That looks like an appraisal packet." Her laugh cracked. "Mom, you're misreading. But the numbers, square footage, tax ID, highlighted comparables, spoke loud enough." Corbin stepped in with a salesman's grin. "Just exploring financial literacy, helping you not feel burdened. Exploring is asking first," I said. There were sticky notes. "Den equal sign office conversion, Tui Tim. Saturday, 10 a.m. Drive by." My jaw didn't tighten, but my resolve did. I pushed the folder back. "You planned my house before asking its owner." I texted Noretta one line. "Bring your ears, not your mouth." Then I opened my paper planner, circled Saturday in red, and wrote appraisal beside it. I snapped a picture of the folder, not hiding it, then set the phone down. "Legal names pay legal bills," I murmured, resting my hand on the property tax envelope. I worked too many years to be a visitor in my own address. My voice found the old rhythm again. "Either we reset and talk like grown folks, or we end this right here." Outside. Mrs. Tolliver paused mid-walk with her dog, eyeing the movers. Isolde hissed. Now the whole block will talk. Let them, I said. Talk's cheaper than my deed. Corbin tried one last angle. Let us at least move the mattress. We'll sleep and talk tomorrow. Hotels exist, I said, soft but firm. Respect lives here. Then I saw the glow of Isolde's phone screen. A calendar invite read, Notary, Monday 2:00 p.m. My last name spelled wrong. We're just thinking ahead, she said lightly. Then you can think ahead somewhere else tonight. Corbin reached for the den door. I reached first, turned the key, heard the latch click. I opened the front door and told the mover, Close out, they won't be unloading here. Behind me, a woman's voice called, polite but businesslike. Ma'am, I'm here for the Saturday appraisal. Do you still want the 10 a.m. slot? I stepped out onto the porch. The last of the sun spilling gold over the steps. The woman waiting there wore a blazer too light for the breeze. Tablet clutched like a shield. I smiled, church polite, and said, Evening, ma'am. Who put me on your calendar? She blinked, swiped her screen, and stammered. I have a booking, Saturday, 10 a.m. Behind me, I could feel Isolde's presence, tight and buzzing, ready to talk over me. I raised a palm. Let the professional speak. The appraiser cleared her throat, eyes flicking toward the boxes on my lawn. Just here to confirm the property access? Then you can confirm it from right there, I said, my unknown standing between her and my door. We won't be doing interior anything tonight. She held out the tablet so I could read my address, my name. But the request came from Varen. I glanced at my daughter. That your signature? Isolde's jaw set. The woman explained. I assumed she was the owner. I nodded once. You assumed wrong. Without the titled owner's consent, any interior photographs would be trespass. Corbin tried to slide in with his calm voice. This is just pre-planning. Mavelin for safety and value. Pre-planning without permission, I said evenly, is called encroachment. The word hit the air like a gavel. I asked the appraiser to notate my statement. Owner expressly withholds consent. Any future access must go through Mavelin Harlow only. She typed, her hands steadying with each word. Thank you, she murmured, disabling the slot right there on her screen. I texted Noretta. Front porch, now, please. No emojis, no punctuation beyond what mattered. Then I looked back at the appraiser. Email me the cancellation record, please. She nodded, double-checking my spelling as I recited it slow. Paper trail matters. I raised my phone, snapped a quick porch selfie with her in frame, just shoulders, timestamp glowing. She didn't protest. Professionals like clean evidence, too. No boxes cross my threshold tonight, I told the movers hovering nearby. Not a one, Isolde hissed. You're embarrassing yourself. Respect, I said, turning the key in my pocket, is cheaper than repairs. My foot braced the doormat against the jamb, a quiet barrier. The appraiser, still trying to smooth things, said, my notes mentioned into office conversion for 2 adults, and copies of keys per request. Her voice trailed off when she realized what she'd said. Isolde stammered. That's just template language. From whose email? I asked. The woman's screen showed a redacted header. Isolde's domain. You did nothing wrong by telling the truth, I said to her, my tone like a benediction. Corbin muttered. That's operational privacy. I looked at him. Privacy starts with asking the owner, I added. Please note, no drone photos, no exterior video, nothing overhead. Nouti. She typed again, nodded quickly, and stepped back toward her car, glad to escape the weight of it all. Ma'am? Should we still unload? The mover asked, hesitant now. No, sir, I said. You can close out under Varen. Primary. No hard feelings. Then to my daughter and her husband. Hotel tonight. We'll talk only if it's in writing. House rules, rent, chores, timeline. Corbin started. We've already spent... I stopped him. Your planning is not my emergency. My voice didn't rise, but it carried. I texted Noretta again. Witness present. Keys documented. Appraisal denied. I returned the key ring to the china cabinet. The click echoed like punctuation on a boundary newly drawn. Noretta arrived within minutes. Gray cardigan zipped to her chin, eyes taking in everything. Evening, y'all, she said, and that was all. I recounted. Who booked what I refused, how it ended. Want me to call my nephew? The locksmith? She asked. Tomorrow morning, I said. Rekey the front, the side, and the den. Isolde's voice cracked. You're making us the bad guys. I looked straight at her. You volunteered for that role when you booked my house. Corbin's shoulders sagged. His phone buzzed. The screen flashed, Notary Monday. Confirm? Oh, he turned it over slow, guilt heavy in his palm. Then my own phone rang. This is Jubilee Mutual, the caller said briskly. Are you approving a new authorized contact on your homeowner's policy? Name of Corbin Varon? I met Isolde's eyes. She looked away. Ma'am, the voice continued, do we add him, or should I mark this as a fraudulent request? The phone was still warm in my hand from the last call when Jubilee Mutual's rep came back on the line. I pressed speaker so everyone could hear. This is the titled owner, I said, voice steady. No, I do not authorize anyone named Corbin Varon. The rep cleared her throat. We received a digital authorization request this afternoon. Email ending in C, Varon. If it ain't in writing with my signature, I told her. It ain't real. Corbin started to interject about emergency coordination, but I kept talking. Emergencies don't start with forging my name. The rep asked if I wanted to file a fraud alert. Yes, I said. And please issue me a case number. My fingers drummed once on the counter, calm and deliberate. Also lock my policy changes behind two-factor verification and send confirmation to my PITO box. No email links. The air in the room tightened. Isolde folded her arms, staring at the floor. While Corbin muttered something about overreacting, I ignored it, dictating a short statement for the record. Then I composed an email right there. Subject line bold, unauthorized contact request, fraud watch. I attached my driver's license and requested Jubilee hold harmless if any third party acted without consent. Noretta, sitting across from me, quietly took a photo of the speaker display showing the case number. When Isolde leaned toward the phone, I slid it away. No. My tone didn't rise, but it carried the same finality as a slammed door. I forwarded the case number to myself and dropped it in a folder labeled House. Boundaries. Corbin sighed. Family shouldn't act like enemies. I looked at him square. Family starts with consent. The rep sent the fraud confirmation while we were still on the line. I opened the email, read it out loud so it would be part of their recording, denied and flagged, timestamp 6:48 p.m. Please add a note, I said, that any call from a non-owner about locks occupancy or claim settlements must go straight to me. The rep suggested I add a password phrase. I smiled faintly. Use this. Port UNM, my late husband's Navy station. No one would ever guess it. Well, note that, she said. I thanked her, ended the call, and placed the printout beneath my refrigerator magnet that reads, Pay your bills, set your rules. We walked to the HOA lobby under the sharp breath of Lake Michigan air. My cardigan whipped at the edges, but my stride stayed even. Through the intercom, I gave my unit number and request. Revoke all guest pins tied to the Varon name. Suspend open door deliveries. Access by owner text only. The manager, a thin man with winter eyes, said, We actually have a pending move-in questionnaire from earlier today. Print it, I said. He did. I signed a new access revocation and quiet hours form. No after 7 entries, no deliveries, no lockboxes without approval. If you see a lockbox, I told him, treat it like a raccoon. Wrong place, wrong time. He laughed nervously, but understood. Noretta noted the names and times as he issued my new access code. Back at the gate. Corbin tried again. We're family, not tenants. Then stop acting like landlords, I said. Isolde softened her voice. Mom, we're in a pinch. Her phone buzzed. Another notification flashing Notary Monday. Confirm? I pointed at it. Then you've got priorities. Any stay here requires a written guest agreement. Rent, chores, timeline, liability. Corbin scoffed. Rent? Really? I gestured toward the HOA sign. Guests aren't residents. Pick a lane? I gave them 72 hours to decide. Until then, hotel. Noretta whispered. Rekey the mailbox, too. I nodded. And I'll add a USPS hold if needed. At home. I placed the HOA form beside the insurance letter, 2 anchors against a rising tide. I texted my attorney. Flag any notary or deed filings under my name this month. Then I circled Tuesday on my calendar. Trust review. Isolde tried once more. Can we talk alone? Tomorrow. Sunlight hours, inside voices. Corbin asked, What about our boxes? They'll be fine in the truck, I said. So will you. I turned the deadbolt. Its click settled the house back into itself. My phone buzzed again. Mobile notary. Arrival window confirmed for Monday 9/11 a.m. Requester. Iverin primary beneath it. Another ping. Pre-approval, den to office conversion permit, city portal receipt. I exhaled through my nose. They hadn't canceled anything. They'd just moved faster. I looked toward the fire safe beside my desk. All right, I murmured. Let's see what they think they're signing. Monday morning came with a gray hush that felt staged. I opened the fire safe my husband once called the heartbeat of the house. Inside were the deed copy, the trust summary, old insurance riders, my ID, and a clean guest agreement I drafted the night before. If it's not in black and white, I murmured, it's a bedtime story. I placed yellow tabs beside every signature line, bolded clauses about key control and liability, then texted my attorney. Stand by for a notary visit, no transfers, witnesses only. Noretta sat across from me checking boxes on a clipboard. HOA code changed. Mailbox rekey set. USPS hold pending. I set my phone on the coffee table with the camera light on. This will be a recorded conversation, I said. No one objected. The notary arrived a few minutes later. Young, neat, neutral. She showed me her commission badge and I snapped a photo of it with her permission. Corbin was already by the door, tablet glowing. We just need this witnessed, he said, handing her an authorization form that bundled utilities, deliveries, and household maintenance. I asked her to read it aloud. The word premises appeared like a snake in grass. She looked up, uneasy. That's broader than utilities. Exactly, I said. Nothing conveying occupancy or management will be signed today. You can witness my paperwork only. Isolde crossed her arms. It's just logistics. Mom, logistics don't need my deed, I answered. The notary nodded, shifting her tablet toward me. She's correct. The titled owner has discretion. I laid my guest agreement on the table. 2 pages, crisp lines, plain English. 14 days, maximum stay. Modest rent, chores, no subletting, no new locks, no deliveries without approval, photo ID required, emergency contact mandatory, and no recording inside this house without my consent, added. The clause. The notary sealed my signature and looked to them. Corbin shook his head. Family doesn't pay rent, then family doesn't stay, I replied, and wrote in my logbook. Offer made and declined. 10/12 as concept witnessed. Corbin pulled a thin sheet from his folder. A month-to-month occupancy memo, naming himself household manager. I took my glasses off, read every line, and circled the phrase retained occupant. You're attempting a title flip, I said quietly. He protested. It's just paperwork for insurance. No consent, I wrote in the margin, signing my name only beside that line. The notary refused to seal it. No acknowledgement, no notarization, she stated. I scanned the page with my phone and emailed it to my attorney and HOA within minutes. Unauthorized occupancy form presented and declined. Outside. Isolde had her phone up recording. We just wanted to help Mom manage her bills, she told the camera. Syrupy sweet. I stepped beside her and lifted a printed copy of my power of attorney. This paper says otherwise. I'm my own guardian, sweetheart. I closed the door gently. A buzz came from Noretta's phone. Someone had already posted in the neighborhood group that I was paranoid. I typed a short note to HOA. Any social post claiming residency is false. Please file then forwarded my fraud flag letter from Jubilee Mutual. My reputation would not be rewritten online. Moments later, my bank app pinged, an attempted add-on of an authorized payer. I dialed the utility company on speaker. "Password verification, please," I said, creating a new code only I knew. Note this: owner-only modifications, escalation to the titled customer. Corbin tried to explain. "We were just taking something off your plate. You don't start help by moving the plate," I replied. I printed the confirmation and stapled it to my guest agreement. My paper shield was thicker than armor. The notary packed her kit, signing her journal. "No transfers executed," she confirmed before stepping out. As she reached her car, a white van rolled to the curb. The driver scrolled his phone and called out, "Den conversion, wall removal order for today. Ma'am?" I straightened. "No work authorized here." He frowned at the screen. "Order says today." The hum of his engine filled the silence between us. "Someone," I said, "moved faster than my no." The contractor van was still parked out front when I stepped outside with my phone. I snapped clear photos of the license plate and the screen on his tablet, reading "Den conversion, wall removal." Noretta stood beside me, steady as ever, jotting timestamps in her notebook. I called 311 on speaker, spelling out my parcel number and truss line word for word. "No permit issued," the clerk confirmed. "But I see a pending E sign under M. Harlow, signature doesn't match." "That's forgery," I said. "Flag it, please." The clerk promised to email me a stop work advisory template. I repeated her line for my recording. "Ma'am, if you don't see a green permit in the window, the hammer doesn't swing." While Noretta printed the advisory, the clerk read IP metadata from the fake submission, coffee shop Wi-Fi 2 miles away, timestamp just before noon, attached authorization, Corbin Varon, household manager. My pulse stayed low, but my voice sharpened. "Send the audit PDF to my attorney and HOA. I'll file the fraud affidavit this afternoon." The email pinged seconds later. I taped the printed advisory to my front window beside the insurance rider from last week. Then I texted the contractor, "No permit on record. Stop work posted. Proceed, and you'll eat the fines." He froze halfway up the porch. Corbin hustled over, whispering, hands moving fast. I didn't move an inch. Sometimes silence hits harder than shouting. By early afternoon, I was in the HOA lobby filing an emergency compliance complaint. Clause 8.4. Unauthorized alterations, I recited. That's $1,000 per day. The compliance officer called a city inspector. They coordinated an immediate joint note. No construction activity allowed. He printed the stop work letter, dated and signed, and handed it to me. "Keep this visible, ma'am. Hotline on the bottom if anyone questions it." When I returned home, I met the contractor lead halfway up my steps and gave him the letter. He read it slowly, sighed, and waved his crew to pack up. Corbin sputtered. "It was just family improvements. Family doesn't overrule ownership," I said, pointing at the truss line. The van pulled away, its horn a long, low note that sounded like surrender. Back inside, Noretta's phone buzzed, a forwarded voicemail from our neighbor. She played it aloud. Isolda's voice. Unmistakable. "Just start the demo. She'll cave once the wall's open." I closed my eyes once, opened them calm. "Save that file." I airdropped the audio to both the HOA officer and the 311 clerk. "In Chicago," I said, "we call that evidence." I drafted a cease and desist on my letterhead, citing the recording and the forged permit. "BCC, my insurer's fraud unit," I told Noretta. Moments later, fists pounded on my door. Isolda, face flushed. "You're humiliating your own family," she shouted. "No," I said evenly. "You did that yourself, on tape." The living room became a small courtroom. I laid out 3 pages, the stop work letter, the audit with the forged e-sign, and the HOA fine schedule. "You will not manage, occupy, or alter what you don't own," I told them, my phone quietly recording beside the teacup. I added the guest agreement from that morning, the one they'd refused to sign. Corbin lunged to grab the stack. I pulled it back. "Chain of custody matters." 2 CPD officers arrived from my earlier non-emergency call. Calm, neutral. They reviewed the documents, nodded once, and advised everyone to disengage. Civil matter, one said. Document everything. Now I handed Corbin the cease and desist. He signed received with a shaky hand. By mid-afternoon, the HOA emailed confirmation. Fines activate immediately if they cross my property line. The 311 clerk followed with the fraud signature affidavit. Appointment link attached. My attorney texted, "With audio and audit, we can seek a protective order and damages." I set my alarm for morning, poured myself a cup of tea, and watched sunlight crawl across the rug. For the first time in days, the house exhaled. Then my phone lit again. A second message from my attorney read, "Isolde just filed an emergency occupancy petition. Hearing at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Public or sealed." I arrived early at the Daily Center. Coat buttoned, documents in hand, mind calm, Miss. Alvarez met me at security with her silver briefcase, and Noretta trailed behind carrying the accordion file, neatly labeled, stop work letter, permit audit, HOA fines, guest agreement, audio transcript. The clerk confirmed our option. Sealed or public? I said. Public. Loud enough for the echo to carry. If they wanted drama, they could have it under fluorescent lights. The city permit investigator nodded politely when I handed him a courtesy packet. Organized, tabbed, color-coded. "For your records," I said. A woman in a navy coat whispered, "You're ready." I was. Isolde and Corbin arrived late, waving glossy prints and screenshots that looked more like a Pinterest board than evidence. The bailiff gave us all a flat look. Phones on silent, attitudes on mute. The judge called order. "Emergency occupancy petition," he read. "Temporary relief only." Isolde started her performance, voice trembling just enough. "My mother's been lonely. We just wanted to help with the house. It's too big for her." Corbin chimed in. The renovations were for safety. Handrails, lighting, families should be able to help. They framed intrusion as compassion, control as care. The judge leaned forward. "Do you have written consent, lease, power of attorney?" Blank faces. Corbin lifted his phone. "We texted. The judge asked for a date or a signature. None existed. Miss." Alvarez scribbled 3 words on her pad and slid it toward me. Calm facts, chain. I focused on that rhythm and breathed. When our turn came, Miss Alvarez rose, deliberate and precise. "Your Honor, my client, Miss Harlow, is the trustee and titled owner. No lease, no license, no consent. The petitioners declined a reasonable guest agreement. Their actions created risk, not relief." She listed the trust clause, cited Illinois property law distinguishing guest from tenant. Family does not automatically confer occupancy rights. She presented the guest agreement I drafted. A modest rent, clear rules, refused by them. Her tone balanced warmth and steel. This is not about isolation, it's about boundaries. The judge's pen stopped mid-tap. "Proceed with exhibits," he said. Exhibit by exhibit, the table filled. First, the HOA stop work letter, time-stamped, with fines outlined. Then the city permit audit, no permit issued, forged e-sign detected, IP traced. The clerk's eyes lifted at that. Miss Alvarez introduced the voicemail transcript. The courtroom stilled as Isolde's voice played. "Just start the demo, she'll cave when the walls open." Even Corbin looked down. Then came the insurer's rider. "Unauthorized construction voids coverage, Miss," Alvarez concluded. "They didn't seek care, they sought control." The judge turned to them. "Do you have any legitimate authorization?" Paper shuffled. Silence answered. "Why instruct a contractor without a permit?" the judge asked. Isolde muttered. "It was a misunderstanding." He replayed her voice. Those 5 fatal words. Corbin's excuse about template confusion fell flat. "Miss," Alvarez asked, "have you ever paid property tax on this home?" "No," he said quietly. The city investigator confirmed a fraud referral already open. Further activity may result in criminal citation. I said nothing. Power sometimes lives in restraint. The gavel's soft tap sounded like closure. Petition denied, the judge declared. Protective order granted. Petitioners are barred from entry or direction of property changes. Fees to respondent pending affidavit. Miss Alvarez gave a nod so slight only I caught it. The judge added, "This court favors consent over conflict, but consent must be real." He signed the order. I exhaled. In the hallway, Isolde tried to turn it into content. "Elder abuse," she shouted into her phone. The HOA officer stepped forward, calm as rain. "No, ma'am, this is compliance." Corbin stormed off, and the contractor texted me an apology, confirming his withdrawal. "We got you, Miss Mavelin," Noretta whispered, "Miss." Alvarez outlined next steps: attorney fees, civil claim, preservation letters. My phone pinged again. A church friend saw the docket. "Proud of you." I smiled. Even victories hurt, but they heal too. At the Lake Street Cafe, I recorded a short voice memo for myself. If they say you're difficult, it might just mean you've stopped being easy. I listed follow-ups: fraud affidavit, secure vault upload, alert settings, community statement. Miss Alvarez texted. Protective order entered. The city investigator emailed. "We'd like a statement for the e-sign case." I sipped my tea, steady, watching my reflection in the window. Then the screen lit one more time. "State's attorney intake. Can you come in tomorrow at 10? We're reviewing forgery for criminal charges. At 10 sharp." I walked into the state's attorney's intake unit with Miss Alvarez at my left and Noretta behind me. The file box hugged close like a shield. The prosecutor, a composed woman with reading glasses perched on her head, opened the folder labeled Chain of Custody. Inside were the pieces of this long, bitter puzzle: the forged e-sign audit, the HOA stop work order, the voicemail where Isolde said, "She'll cave." She listened to it twice, face tightening with each replay. "Under Illinois statute," she said, "this qualifies as attempted forgery, harassment, and risk of property damage." I didn't need big words, I told her. "I want safety, restitution, and distance." She nodded, typing. "We'll proceed with felony forgery, misdemeanor endangerment. They'll get a pre-hearing window to settle." My tone stayed even. "This isn't revenge. It's repair." After the meeting, Miss Alvarez and I mapped the civil side in the hallway, the title company's compliance hold, the HOA fines, and the contractor's affidavit formed a solid wall. "They can't move money or refinance until this clears," she said. The prosecutor asked for my victim impact statement. I spoke plainly about the sleepless nights, the sound of locks clicking behind me, the canceled choir rehearsals, the groceries delivered instead of shared dinners. No tears, just facts. Isolde's lawyer muttered about family misunderstandings. The prosecutor cut in. "Intent is in the tape." I didn't gloat. I let the silence underline the truth. That afternoon, we met for mediation at the Daily Center. I came with a list, not emotions, 3 non-negotiables: no contact except through counsel, restitution for all expenses, and a written correction for every lie they'd spread online. Isolde crossed her arms, eyes sharp but tired. Corbin whispered about their blocked refinance. Miss Alvarez slid across a letter from the insurer. "Any further tampering voids coverage and transfers liability to perpetrators." That did it. Their attorney exhaled and said, "My clients will consider resolution within 7 days," Miss Alvarez replied, "or we move to trial." The mediator wrote it down, voice neutral, the air thinned with quiet defeat. When it was time to seal the record, I took out the final card, my husband's trust amendment, original ink still crisp, notarized with date and witness log. The mediator checked the forensic seal. No copies, no speculation. It was mine. Corbin's lawyer swallowed hard. "We withdraw all implied occupancy claims." For once, they didn't argue. They simply signed where they had to. By late afternoon, we had paper in hand. Isolde's plea reduced but real, felony forgery reclassified to misdemeanor with probation and counseling. Corbin accepted civil judgment, restitution, and a sealed apology to be filed with the court. The contractor refunded every dollar and filed a lien release. The judge signed off. making my protective order permanent, Miss. Alvarez leaned in and said softly, "It's done." For the first time in months. I believed her. That evening, back home in Bucktown, the locksmith finished installing new smart locks while Noretta double-checked the camera feed. The house hummed low and peaceful. A neighbor brought a casserole. The church bulletin mentioned my return to the choir. I didn't need applause. Quiet recognition was enough. Online, Isolde's elder abuse posts disappeared, replaced by a formal apology through her counsel's account. I read it once, then closed the page. I refused the invitation for one last meeting. Instead, I sent a letter that said, "Family is earned, not presumed. Do better. Away from me." I signed with the same pen they once tried to forge past. Noretta smiled. "Paper wins," I answered. "And so does peace." The next morning, I brewed tea and opened my calendar. I added a new event. Estate planning workshop, boundaries and paperwork 101. Maybe if more women like me learned to keep their house in order, on paper and in spirit, there'd be fewer courtrooms and more calm kitchens. Clarity, I murmured, is a kindness. Just before sunset, my doorbell rang again. I looked it through the camera. A young woman stood on the porch, folder in hand, nervous but determined. Another story waiting to begin.